would appraise this book actually at about $40,000.
Rebecca Romney from Pawn Stars seemed untouchable with her rare book knowledge and calm confidence. But behind the bright lights, her story took a turn that fans never expected. Whispers of scandals, sudden exits, and hidden truths soon followed her. What really happened behind the cameras? Join us as we explore the untold truth about Rebecca from Pawn Stars. The woman rewriting literary history. Rebecca Romney's journey into the rare book world has been anything but ordinary. Starting as a television expert in a Las Vegas pawn shop, she has since built a career that has taken her into the most exclusive corners of American bibliophilia. Alongside her partner Brian Cassidy, she co-founded a firm that quickly became known for bold, extraordinary collections. Their inventory featured treasures like Shakespeare folios and Gutenberg Bible leaves, with sales reaching into the millions. In a field traditionally dominated by older men, Rebecca stood out, sharp, fearless, and unafraid to question long-established rules. Her influence grew even further when she turned her attention to supporting young collectors. In 2017, she and Heather O'Donnell launched the Honey and Wax Book Collecting Prize, an award for women under 30 with the most original collections. The prize valued creativity over money, showing that the meaning behind the books mattered more than their price. Winners ranged from tattoo artists with botanical works to analysts with military-themed collections. The prize gave women visibility and confidence in a world that often overlooked them. By 2025, it had honored 9 collectors and inspired many more to claim their place in literary history. That same year, Rebecca made waves with her book, Jane Austen's Bookshelf. It exposed how many of the women writers who shaped Austen's world had been erased from history. Authors like Frances Burney, Anne Radcliffe, and Charlotte Smith were once best-selling names, but most of their works are now out of print. Rebecca revealed the shocking truth. Only about 10 to 15% of women's novels from the 18th century survive today, compared to 40% of men's. The book was met with praise and sold over 20,000 copies within weeks. Her research did not stop at writing. Since 2015, Rebecca has collected rare first editions by forgotten women authors, including Burney's Evelina, 1778, and Radcliffe's The Mysteries of Udolpho, 1794. Each find became proof of how women's contributions were pushed aside, even though they influenced giants like Poe, Shelley, and Wordsworth. Through her work, she demonstrated that sexism was not only in reviews, but also in the very survival of literature itself. But how exactly did Rebecca get to this stage? How did she grow to become one of the most important persons in book histories? Let's find out. From pawn shop expert to rare book icon. Rebecca Romney was born on April 6, 1985, in the desert city of Phoenix, Arizona. Nothing about her childhood suggested she would one day handle million-dollar manuscripts. At the time, she dreamed of being a philosopher or perhaps a translator. Her love for languages and ideas filled her days, and she had no plans of ever entering the auction world. At 18, she went to college with her heart set on philosophy and classical studies. By 22, she had mastered English, French, Japanese, Latin, ancient Greek, and even some Old English. Her passion for languages was so intense that she studied up to 12 hours a day. Once, she translated a papyrus from 300 years before Christ for an exam and passed with ease. Her professors were astonished, but these skills would later give her the sharp eye needed to spot forgeries in the rare book trade. Between 2003 and 2007, Rebecca studied at Brigham Young University. While most of her classmates pursued practical majors, she spent long hours debating questions of free will and decoding ancient texts. Her thesis compared fragments of Plato's Republic written centuries apart. Though no one realized it then, her unusual mix of philosophy and languages prepared her for a career unlike any other. In 2007, fate intervened. Fresh out of college, she applied for what she thought was a simple management job at Bowman Rare Books in Philadelphia. Only after the interview began did she realize it was for a rare book specialist, a role she had no experience in. She nearly walked out, but her language skills impressed the team, and they hired her anyway. That chance moment changed her life forever. Very quickly, Rebecca was handling treasures that most people only read about. She worked with Shakespeare folios from 1623, leaves of the Gutenberg Bible, and first editions of Isaac Newton's Principia Mathematica. She was thrown into a world where even the smallest mistake could cost a fortune. By 2010, only 3 years later, she was promoted to gallery manager in Las Vegas at the age of 26. By 2013, she became the youngest senior director in the company's history, overseeing catalogs, auctions, and sales worth more than $10 million each year. Her reputation for spotting fakes grew fast. In 2007, when Bowman Rare Books opened its Las Vegas branch, Rebecca was chosen to help run it. Around that time, she met Rick Harrison, owner of Gold and Silver Pawn. Their shared interest in history and rare items soon connected them. So when Rick needed an expert for his show Pawn Stars, he did not go through producers. He called Rebecca directly. Her first appearance came on April 4, 2011, during the show's 4th season. She was handed a stack of Civil War-era papers, including a Confederate bond from 1861. At first glance, it looked valuable, possibly worth thousands. But in under 10 minutes, Rebecca spotted a forged signature, reducing its value to a few $100s. Her calm explanation, steady voice, and precise analysis captured viewers instantly. Ratings jumped, and Rebecca became known as the Book Lady. From 2011 to 2020, she appeared in roughly 30 episodes, becoming the go-to authority for anything involving books, documents, or manuscripts. During her busiest years, she handled nearly 3/4 of all paper-related appraisals on the show. Her evaluations ranged from a $2,000 replica of a Columbus letter to an original broadside of the Declaration of Independence worth $15,000. One of her most memorable moments came in 2013 when she authenticated notes linked to Edgar Allan Poe, hidden inside a manuscript many believed to be worthless. She also handled 19th-century slave trade papers, carefully explaining how to value items so deeply tied to painful history. Her ability to deliver difficult truths calmly became her trademark. Not all appraisals ended in happy surprises. Once, she identified a supposed Shakespeare folio as a clever fake, preventing the shop from losing thousands of dollars. Another time, she uncovered the legal risks tied to Confederate bonds salvaged from a sunken ship. Her research revealed that selling them could spark lawsuits, saving the shop from a potentially disastrous purchase. But sometimes the discoveries were astonishingly real. That was the case when someone brought in a first edition of Charles Darwin's On the Origin of Species. Only 250 copies were printed in 1859, and Rebecca knew instantly this was authentic. She valued it at $75,000. Her explanation of the book's importance made the segment unforgettable, highlighting how Darwin's work reshaped science and religion. Fans adored her straightforward style. She never exaggerated, never shouted, and never sought attention. Instead, she calmly unraveled mysteries, whether exposing a forgery or confirming a treasure. By 2015, her popularity was so strong that some viewers asked for a spin-off centered on her expertise. Online forums dubbed her the Book Whisperer, and she built a large following that admired both her knowledge and her poise. Her presence on Pawn Stars also showed the world that rare books were more than dusty relics. She brought history alive, connecting centuries-old items to modern audiences. For example, when she appraised a first edition of Frankenstein, valued at $20,000, fans flooded online spaces with excitement. Rebecca had a unique way of making old pages feel thrilling, as though each book still breathed with its author's spirit. While television introduced her to millions, Rebecca never limited herself to the screen. Behind the cameras, she was building a reputation as one of the sharpest minds in the rare book world. Her work eventually led her to co-found her company, Type Punch Matrix, where she blended tradition with cutting-edge technology. She began using artificial intelligence and blockchain to track provenance, making it possible to authenticate items with a level of certainty previously unimaginable. By 2024, her firm had developed tools capable of detecting forgeries with over 95% accuracy. She even introduced virtual reality simulations, allowing people to explore rare books without risking damage to the originals. These innovations did not remain locked in labs. She shared them openly with aspiring dealers, teaching more than 200 people how to use them. Rebecca also became a respected voice in academia and collecting communities. She taught regularly at antiquarian book seminars, where she spoke about scandals like the Thomas J. Wise forgeries of the 1930s, and explained why collecting wasn't just about money, but about uncovering forgotten stories. Her lectures emphasized how the survival of literature itself was shaped by bias, showing how works by women and marginalized writers were far less likely to be preserved or reprinted. Her most groundbreaking contribution came with her book Jane Austen's Bookshelf, released in February 2025. It revealed how many women writers who had influenced Austen were later erased from history. Authors such as Frances Burney, Anne Radcliffe, and Charlotte Smith were once widely read, yet most of their works vanished from print. Rebecca showed that while up to 40% of male-authored novels from the 18th century survived, only around 15% of women's novels did. Her research proved that the exclusion was not accidental, but systematic. The book sold more than 20,000 copies within weeks and was praised internationally. Readers were struck not only by the data, but by Rebecca's honesty in admitting that even she, a rare book expert, had not encountered many of these writers during her studies. If someone like her had missed them, she asked, how many others had also been deprived of these voices? That realization fueled her mission to resurrect forgotten authors through collecting and teaching. So, what exactly happened to Rebecca that made her leave Pawn Star in 2015? The mystery behind Rebecca Romney's sudden exit from Pawn Stars. In the year 2014, a curious moment on Pawn Stars sparked one of the strangest rumors linked to the show. A man stepped into the gold and silver pawn shop carrying what he claimed was a rare 1841 edition of the Book of Mormon. Rebecca Romney, the shop's rare book expert, examined it with care and valued it at $40,000. The seller, however, insisted on $100,000. After tough back and forth, Rick Harrison struck a deal at $24,000. It seemed like another clever purchase, until the whispers began. Soon, online chatter suggested the book had been stolen from the Marriott Library at the University of Utah. The story grew darker when claims surfaced that federal agents became involved. According to those rumors, the FBI seized the book and left the pawn shop with nothing. No official charges or statements ever followed, yet the tale spread widely through Reddit threads and YouTube videos. Around late 2014, word circulated that Rebecca Romney herself had been questioned by agents about how such a historic book could appear on national television without alarms being raised. This was not the first time rare volumes had drawn federal attention. Years earlier, the FBI had returned stolen treasures to the National Library of Sweden. Back in 2005 and 2006, they had also caught Forbes Smiley, a notorious figure who stole millions of dollars worth of rare maps. Against this backdrop, the Book of Mormon controversy left Romney's position in a fragile light. She was never accused of wrongdoing, yet whispers suggested her once confident appraisals now carried suspicion. On January 10, 2015, she appeared on what would become her final episode. That day, she appraised a pirate book from 1734, valuing it at $1,000. Rick, as usual, bargained it down to $400. After that moment, she was gone. No farewell, no statement, no explanation. Fans who had followed her for 4 years and 19 episodes were left bewildered. Speculation filled the silence. Some believed she had been dismissed. Others tied her exit directly to the Book of Mormon scandal. A few thought she left due to personal hardship, while others connected it to growing criticism of the show, claims of staged deals, faked appraisals, and behind-the-scenes tension. Yet one detail stood out. Even after vanishing from the program, Rebecca Romney never removed Pawn Stars from her LinkedIn profile. She continued to list herself as their rare book expert from 2011 to the present. Some saw this as a marketing strategy, while others suspected a quiet, non-disclosure agreement kept her tied to the brand. By 2016, she relocated to Philadelphia for what was described as a promotion. She became senior director at Bowman Rare Books, later moved to Brooklyn, and eventually co-founded a rare book company in Washington, D.C. The career move appeared natural, yet the timing, so close to the controversy, left lingering questions. Years later, in 2022, she reappeared in a special Pawn Stars Do America episode filmed in Washington. She teased Chum Lee, joked with Corey, and slipped back into the role effortlessly. For fans, the reunion brought joy, but also reopened the mystery. Was her departure a simple career shift, or did the Book of Mormon scandal play a part behind closed doors? Now, how about her personal life, and what did she do after leaving Pawn Stars? Rebecca Romney's journey after reality TV. In the year 2016, Rebecca Romney took a new step in her personal life when she married J.P. Romney, an author and historical researcher who shared her deep love for books. Their bond was rooted in stories and scholarship, but there was an added twist. J.P. was distantly related to Mitt Romney, the American politician who ran for president in the year 2012 and gained nearly half the nation's votes. Through this marriage, Rebecca found herself loosely connected to a well-known political dynasty that included George Romney, the former governor of Michigan, who served from 1963 to 1969. Yet, despite the family ties, Rebecca never met Mitt. The link was more about lineage than real connection. At the time, Rebecca's face was still fresh in the public eye from her years on Pawn Stars. She had been on the show from 2011 until 2015, where her knowledge of rare texts earned her respect. One of her most memorable moments was in 2013, when she appraised a Shakespeare folio valued at $100,000. Another highlight was her appraisal of a rare 1507 map worth $1 million, which showcased her ability to recognize treasures hidden in plain sight. In 2017, Rebecca and JP collaborated on a book that surprised many, Printer's Error. Irreverent Stories from Book History was published on March 14, 2017. Spanning 368 pages, it brought forgotten chapters of book history to light. The work explored forged copies of Galileo's writings, Charles Dickens's fierce battles for copyright in the 1840s, and the mysteries surrounding the Gutenberg Bible of 1455. That Bible, which never mentioned Gutenberg by name, survives in only 48 known copies, each worth tens of millions. The book balanced Rebecca's scholarly expertise with J.P.'s narrative flair. It was praised by critics, performed well in sales, and gave Rebecca something rare for a reality television personality: credibility beyond the screen. At the same time, J.P. released his novel, The Monster on the Road Is Me, while Rebecca was still remembered for her standout appraisals on Pawn Stars. Their joint project marked a creative peak, though it also proved to be one of their last major collaborations. Rebecca remained careful about her personal life. She has 2 children, though she has never shared their names or ages. Even while keeping the Romney surname professionally, she avoids public discussion about the family. During interviews and fan questions, she focused on her work rather than relationships or fame. Now that you have known about all these, there is still something unknown to the world about Rebecca. The hidden teacher in Rebecca Romney. One part of Rebecca Romney's life that many fans overlook is her role as a quiet teacher. Long before she became a familiar face on television, she had already discovered the joy of guiding others through difficult ideas. Her early studies in philosophy and ancient languages demanded long hours of tutoring and study groups, where classmates often turned to her for help. Explaining Plato or breaking down Latin sentences became her specialty. She realized that teaching was not just about knowledge, but about patience, clarity, and sparking curiosity in others. That gift followed her into the world of rare books. When she joined Bowman Rare Books, Rebecca was not only learning herself, but also showing new collectors how to read the hidden language of old paper and ink. She explained the difference between a forgery and the real thing in ways that even beginners could understand. This same talent carried on to Pawn Stars. Millions of viewers watched her reveal the secrets of history with calm certainty, and many of them later admitted that her segments inspired them to read more, or even start their collections. After leaving television, Rebecca leaned into this teaching spirit even more. She began writing essays, giving talks, and later co-authoring books that blended her expertise with storytelling. What stood out was how approachable she made everything. Instead of treating rare books as treasures locked away for the wealthy, she presented them as living objects, part of human history, full of mistakes, humor, and surprises. It was her way of inviting everyone into a world that could easily have seemed intimidating. She has been known to encourage younger collectors, reminding them that passion often matters more than money when building a collection. In a way, Rebecca Romney never stopped being a teacher. Whether through books, television, or her firm, she continues to share knowledge with the same calm tone and careful patience that first defined her. And for many who admire her, that is what makes her truly unforgettable. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.